Hello and welcome to another episode of ALUM Pod. And I'm glad to have our three of our esteemed alumni who are now NIPERites. So we have Anurag Bedekar, who's currently pursuing MS in Medicinal Chemistry at NIPER Mohali. Next, we have Noella Abraham, MS in Pharmaceutics, NIPER Hyderabad. And Mitali Bhuimali, who is pursuing MS in Informatics at again NIPER Mohali. So welcome, I welcome you all. And thank you for agreeing to do this on a Sunday evening. So I'll be asking certain generalized questions, and you can add any tips or whatever you want to add, your information, anytime you're free to do that. So firstly, what got you into deciding that you'll go for research and not the marketing aspect? As a third year student, me and my friends are often confused, MBA karna hai, master's research mein jana hai. So how did you all decide, or when did you all decide? So you go with Anurag first.
Okay, so basically, see, what I remember is during my fifth semester, I guess. Yeah. So it was all the times of lockdown, and there were so many alumni sessions at our time also. Okay. So where people who had already done MBA had also come online, and actually they had actually told it to us how MBA background is, etc. Right? And then we had Mihir sir, one of our ex-professors. So he got us really interested in chemistry. At least he got me very interested in chemistry. And and then he introduced us to NIPER and GPAT, and there are these exams. These are pan-India exams. So somewhere that became a motivation. Okay, we really have to practice. And one thing what I feel is that having a deeper and more specialized knowledge about your own field will help you, even if you end up doing anything in life ahead. Like even if you go in the industry, even if you stay focused in the research, I feel it is going to help you if you have a profound knowledge of the subject that you feel you're mastering into. So yeah, that is what my motivation was, basically, to continue into research. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Okay, so Noella.
So same thing as Anurag, like we attended Mihir's sessions and he gave us like a deeper insight into NIPER and GPAT and everything. And I personally felt that I should sharpen my basics, like sharpen my knowledge about the field itself before venturing into other things. I personally have interest in patent law and everything. So I feel like I should first do this, like my MS in pharmaceutics, and that would provide like a good base for me to like pursue other things in the future.
Okay, so you wish to go ahead in education like IPR and stuff?
Right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Mitali?
I was inclined towards academics a bit more right from my first year.
Okay.
And I personally thought that I don't have a lot of interest in management and those things. That's why. So research was the only other option.
I can relate to that. So coming to your subjects of masters, so Anurag, you're doing medchem. That's a subject that scares many of us, structures and SAR. So how are you interested in medchem? Personally,
so basically,
any tips you could give us?
Honestly, medicinal chemistry is not just structures and SAR. There are so many other things like organic chemistry, and even if you say analysis, they are going to be a major part of medicinal chemistry in per se. So honestly speaking, again, I'll tell you, my professors, Dr. Radhika Rahija ma'am, Arundhati ma'am, these guys have made me really interested in chemistry. The way they taught us organic chemistry, the mechanisms. So I was really, I was very intrigued by how a nucleophile is actually attacking an electrophile. They're forming an adduct. There are addition reactions taking place. So all this chemistry that was actually happening over there made me really interested. Then, as you said, SAR, right? Changing just a group changes the entire activity of a molecule. Okay, the way it binds to the proteins and everything. So it is very intriguing. It is very interesting to actually know more about it, and that is what got me interested into medicinal chemistry. Yeah.
So how did you go about, like, with respect to these exams, semester exams? How did you go about remembering those structures, or for exam preparation, exam point of view?
For semesters?
Yeah, semesters.
Okay, so basically in semesters we have a limited set of structures that we have to memorize. We'll have to memorize structures. But what Arti ma'am used to say is always that we should have a hand of practice your hand. Basically, if you draw a benzene ring in a way and then you have a group attached. So if you draw that in a similar fashion, maybe n number of times, you kind of remember. Plus the SAR points are always going to help you. Okay, yeah. Like on this position, if there was a methyl or a nitro, so every time you're going to remember, on the sixth position, there is going to be a substitution.
Correct.
Okay, and the drugs have names which are very, for example, if you say paracetamol, yeah, again, so we know that there is a group on para position, So drugs always end up with such names that they give a, hint of what it is going to have in its structure. There are some weird names also, but then there are exceptions anyways. So this is how I used to go forward with it. Okay. That is how, yeah.
That's helpful. Coming to Mitali, could you tell us something about pharmacoinformatics? Because that is something maybe new to us, or we're not introduced to, at least as undergraduates.
Yes. Honestly, even I didn't know about it. Even even after my GPAT, I did not know what pharmacoinformatics is. Only after NIPER results, I came across a lot of subjects, and I realized that throughout the 4 years, we are never exposed to these fields or these subjects. We only talk about the four main pharmaceutics, analysis, medchem, and oncology. Those are very important. But then, for me, I also apart from my rank and everything, I also wanted some change. It was becoming very monotonous. and
Right.
like I wanted something different in my career. And like after the COVID and everything, I thought that something that I can do at my home. Like in
Right.
pharmacoinformatics, we
Yeah.
mostly do programming based subjects. So
Okay.
like we can do it from home also. So
Right.
with that in mind, I chose pharmacoinformatics. And like after
So,
coming here, I realized it's not just programming; it's also like computational chemistry, CAD, and machine learning, and a lot of different things. And I think
okay.
like I'm not regretting this decision so far. So I
Glad,
think it's
glad.
quite fun.
So we have a computer-based drug design course which has been started by NMIM SVKM. So will it be helpful if someone wants to go for pharmacoinformatics later?
I think so. It will be helpful. Although you will
Okay.
learn everything from the scratch here, but it's good to know already.
So is it necessary to know any programming languages if you go for this course prior to enrolling for
Uh,
it?
it's good if you know. I think it's good if you know maths. Like if you have a background in math, then it's very helpful to learn programming, even if you don't know programming. But
Okay.
there are people here who don't have a math background, who don't have a coding background, still they are doing it. So like it's okay. You can start from anywhere.
Right, right. So what are the programming languages you use here? Like the
In the
Python?
first semester, it's very basic. We start from C++ basic.
Okay.
Then from second semester onwards, we start learning R programming. Then like they'll teach us SQL. Then I think Java also in second semester.
Okay.
Programming languages like Python, they will not. It's not included in our syllabus, but they can like you can learn it from like there are a lot of sources online.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and like Python is the most important in our department. Like they say, like it's not in the syllabus, but that is one thing that will get you all placement.
Plus one. Yeah.
Yeah, like for entering any company.
Okay. So it's basically you use all these programming languages for drug design
Uh,
ultimately, or it's more than that.
Not more than that, not only drug design. So like at times you will feel like it's not completely based on pharmaceutical sciences. You're learning a lot about IT also.
Okay. Right, right. That is interesting. Something that personally intrigues me. So
Yes.
thank you, Noella. So what got you into pharmaceutics, or how did you decide the subject of study?
So I was interested in everything. I
Oh.
liked medchem, I liked ecology, I liked pharmaceutics, I like everything basically. And I think it's because of the faculty we had at BNCP. I feel like every single faculty they were so inspiring. And
Correct,
like
correct.
they taught us in such a fashion that I found nothing was ever boring to me. I like everything. So,
Right.
and personally, I felt like I like medchem and pharmaceutics
More.
more. And it was quite difficult for me to choose between medchem and pharmaceutics. But I think ultimately I decided to take pharmaceutics because I felt like it had a much more wider scope. Like even at this point, I'm studying subjects like I'm studying spectral analysis, so that relates to pharmaceutical analysis. I'm studying biopharmaceutics, that again is in ecology. I'm studying natural products, separation techniques. I'm studying regulatory affairs, IPR, everything, like along with pharmaceutical, the core pharmaceutical subjects.
Correct.
So I feel like that gives me a wider scope and like much more wider understanding. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I chose pharmaceutics.
Okay. So now coming to GPAT and NIPER exams. So I would like all three of you to give us some tips or your personal experiences during the preparation, during the admission process, everything. So we go with Noella first.
So I feel like the very fact that we are from BNCP gives us an edge over everyone else. I think personally, like BNCP people are much more well equipped to deal with these exams. Firstly, because of the way our faculty have taught us, I feel like that itself is more than enough compared to like, the way that other colleges have dealt with studies and stuff. And I see like my colleagues here, I'm not saying that they're
Yeah.
anyway lesser or anything, but I feel like we've studied everything that's important for the exams already. So that itself is one good thing. And then I feel like during the last month, you should not refer to reference books itna. That was one mistake I did. So I would say don't do that because it kind of scares you, when you're seeing the entire bulk of it in front of you. So जो notes है, जो PPTs दिए हैं, वो सब पढ़ लो. And never lose your cool.
Okay.
That's what I say. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. It is reassuring that as BNCP students, we have an edge. That's very reassuring. Okay, Anurag.
Okay, so what Noella said was really important. The last moment pe jaake you don't have to do all these reference books. So if you're going to give your GPAT right now in 2023, so now just start revising all the notes that you've already prepared, all the things that you studied. See, GPAT and NIPER are exams that ask you questions on the expanse of the entire field of pharmacy, right? So your syllabus can never be complete. But you have to know that you have to complete your basics, like the main 4 important subjects of pharmaceutics, pharmacology, pharmacognosy, medicinal chemistry, organic chemistry, analysis. These subjects, you need to know the basics. And if you are a pharmacy student, if you have understood the lectures, honestly, going and attempting the paper will not be very difficult because, there are 4 options. The answer is right in front of your eyes. So you can many times eliminate options. And there's only like the right answer is right. And it pops up. When you eliminate options, you end up at the right option. So that is how it is. You just need to know everything, like your basics to be very clear. That is what I feel is the most important.
Okay, so how do you manage? Is there a like semester exams and GPAT? To prepare for them simultaneously. So what is the difference between approach to preparation for these exams? Like
Right. So what I feel is, what I feel is basically in semester examinations, you basically have a part of a portion to cover. If you say pharmaceutics 4, for us it only had tablets, capsules, I think. Yeah. So maybe like 2, 3. But when it comes to GPAT, you again have to cover everything from the start. So while you're simultaneously preparing for your semesters, you make sure that you don't go and repeat those topics again while you're studying for GPAT. Then you pick up the topics that you've studied earlier, might as well you revise those topics, because semesters still you're already preparing for the topics that are currently going on. So what you do is parallel studies is very important if you have to manage both the semesters and GPAT and NIPER. Yeah, that is most important. And for GPAT, what I feel is like in LACMAN there are all the excipients, for example. They ask very specific questions, like what is the excipient name is given, like mutab, anacarbose, or whatever, and you need to know what the excipient, what is the chemical constituent of it. So such specific questions are also asked in GPAT and NIPER. So these are some points that you have to put an extra focus on while you're preparing for GPAT.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Mitali, any tips or your personal experience?
Yes. So like I started preparing for GPAT from like the start of lockdown. So I think towards the end of our second year. So like I had a lot of time. I knew I had a lot of time. So like I was just following whatever Mihir sir or other teachers had told us. So you just prepare one topic at a time, like one subject, one topic. You're clear with it. You go solve mock tests for it. Then more than like only giving mock tests, it's important to like analyze where you're going wrong and make notes of everything, every mistakes that you make. Then they keep revising, like those standard tips that everybody will tell you, solve 100 MCQs every day. It will be difficult at first, but after a point you will realize you're solving more than 100 MCQs every day. And I think I finished almost the whole Inamdar by the towards the end. So I think that helped a lot. And like books like Pearson, and like once you start preparing, you'll come across a lot of books and you'll realize which one is good for you, which one is easier for you. And like I think it is good to be done with the major subjects first, because minor subjects even like in a week or two you can finish. They are not very difficult. So I think just like being stress free and working is very important, because I know BNCP keeps you very very busy. Like from third year onwards, like they'll tell you to look for internships and all, and then final year, almost the whole year you're preparing for your project, final year project. So like it's very important to know how to balance everything. Like be consistent with your GPAT preparations while preparing for your semesters also. So I think just try to be stress free and make some time every day for GPAT also. I think it will be okay. Everybody like manages somehow.
Okay. So ideally, what do you recommend? When should one start preparing for these exams?
I think from third year.
Third year. Okay.
Yes, because by that time you are exposed to all the subjects, all the major subjects.
Correct.
I think third year is okay.
So when did you start solving the MCQs? Right from the beginning of the preparation, or towards last few months?
Chapter wise or topic wise tests I started from the beginning, but full length tests like 125 questions wala test I started I think like towards the second half of my final year.
Okay, that's nice. That's helpful. So is there a difference in preparation for NIPER exam, or it's just how you go about for GPAT and just some additional studies? Anurag?
Well, NIPER examination will ask you general knowledge also. They can also ask you quants, that is mathematics, right? And they can also ask you, I guess, a bit of language, I think so, like synonyms, right? Now, during our paper, apparently there was no GK, no maths, and no languages that they asked. But, previously in papers, they have asked these questions. So what I feel is you need to refer to previous year NIPER papers, and you need to see what is being consistently asked, what topics are being consistently asked, and prepare those in extra after your GPAT. That is what I feel. And again, basics. For NIPER exams, stick to basics. That is really important. And I think Nobel laureates and everything, again, those will be given in your NIPER books, I guess. Inamdar only, NIPER. Yeah, Inamdar. Book Inamdar for NIPER examination, not for GPAT. Okay, so that is what I used to follow.
Okay, so anything you would like to add, Mitali, Noella?
Yeah, as Anurag said, like GPAT is a very vast portion and surface level portion. That's what I feel. Like they'll ask you stuff that you probably won't have to think a lot about. It'll be at your fingertips. That sort of question for GPAT. But for NIPER, they I think delve into a bit more depth. Like they have those specific topics that they think are more important. This is what I've heard. Like NIPER ke thrust areas ke upar, I think you should focus a bit more. Like in college also they ask a lot of stuff on anti-diabetics, Indian diseases, like diseases that are in this area, like malaria, that sort of stuff. They'll do that more than other areas. वैसे फिर as Anurag said, Nobel laureates, FDA approved drugs, this sort of stuff they may ask. But हमारे time पे नहीं पूछा था. They asked us more about management के ऊपर काफी questions थे. From what I saw, it may differ for you all, but yeah, I'd say that only. And कुछ books है that are important, like वो इनामदार वाला book है. And there was one, I don't remember the book I referred to. There was, if I remember, I'll put in the chat box.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Mitali, any additions? I know it's a general question, so it might be the same for all of you.
For GPAT, I think once you finish GPAT, NIPER will be much easier. So like just be consistent. Like during that gap of GPAT and NIPER, I think that is one mistake I did. Just be consistent with your studies and just revise what you have done. And apart from some additional things,
Right.
like
General knowledge.
Yeah,
as Noella said, some trust areas of NIPER. Yeah.
Yeah, what I would like to add for NIPER is that the time that you have is less. 200 questions in 2 hours. In GPAT, you had 125 questions in 3 hours. So you have to, be very quick at answering questions. So read your question. You might not get time to solve the entire question again. So that is one thing you need to practice in whatever time is there between the GPAT and NIPER. So like set a timer and solve questions. That would be helpful for NIPER, is what I feel.
Okay. And apart from this Sinamdar and Pearson, are there any other books you would recommend for maybe for individual subjects that, or just the reference books we generally refer for college exams? Or any additional books?
Like-
For
Yes, Mitali.
I think the writer was Piyush. So ecology by Piyush, ऐसा कुछ नाम था. So I think that I came across that book much later, and I realized कि पहले मिलता तो अच्छा होता, because that was very like the notes. It was almost like notes made for you, and they had questions also. So I think for ecology, Piyush was a very good option.
Okay.
And other than that, I think Pearson and Inamdar is enough.
Enough. Okay. You're saying something, Anurag?
Yeah, so Pearson for GPAT will be helpful because every subject, basically they're summed up a lot of things about every subject and given as notes before questions in Pearson.
Okay.
So that if you don't have a lot of time, 4-5 months left for GPAT or NIPER, just go through Pearson so you'll know what the expansive syllabus is. And then if you feel at one point, okay, this is something that I want to understand a little more, then read only that from the reference book or the PPTs that our teachers shared. So that is how I went for it. And other than that, what I used to practice is tables in Kokate that are given before each chapter. So those are, they basically sum up the, I guess, the biological name, the chemical constituents. So that is what is important in Kokate. I mean, in Cognosy, you don't have to read the entire thing because it is a difficult subject. And classifications in ecology, that is important. And study ecology and chemistry together. You don't have to study medicinal chemistry separately. Just try to, do the important structures. That's it.
Okay.
You have to study those subjects together.
So ecology and medchem together simultaneously.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now coming to the colleges, like were you always aiming for NIPER? You were confident of getting into NIPER? Were there any other colleges you were looking for? So something on that. Noella?
So my aim was NIPER only. I was aiming for NIPER Mohali, and मुझे SUTEX ही चाहिए था. So then वो तो नहीं मिला मुझे because of my rank. But Hyderabad is decent. It's as like अभी इस साल तो it's an IRF2, and it's pretty good.
Okay. Anurag?
So same, NIPER was always my goal that I wanted to reach NIPER, and by God's grace, maybe I got into NIPER Mohali Medchem. I never expected that because we tend to go and look at the past year ranks and everything, but this year we got into NIPER Mohali.
Would you recommend a student to go for M.Tech after B.Pharm?
If you don't get into M.Pharm, pharmaceutics, then
Yeah.
maybe I can think of M.Tech. But the only other thing that I'll say is give GATE Life Sciences because they give a lot of priority to GATE qualified students when it came to M.Tech, is what I know about. So along with GPAT, you can give GATE and GEE.
Okay. And Mitali? NIPER Mohali again?
NIPER Mohali was the dream college. So बाकी तो कुछ सोचा भी नहीं था BITS and Manipal के लिए, and I didn't even give those exams because I don't know why I was so confident for NIPER. And then so like thankfully I got it also. Wow. And ICT was the second alternative for me.
Okay. So again through GPAT, right?
What I'd like to add on this is every year, every college ka like requirements for a particular course keep on changing. So you have to go to their official websites and check what are the requirements for any course. That if you are interested in some course, you have to go and check the official websites. That is the only true source of information, is what I feel. And IIT BHU is also a good college. I guess placements over there are also quite good. Okay. So they also have their own exam. Yeah.
Okay. Now coming to future prospects. So what do you all decide on doing with further education, going for research or jobs, or what areas do you wish to go to after M.Pharm? Noella?
As I said, I was interested in IPR. So in the future, I probably would go down that route, maybe do or like a PG diploma in IPR. That's what I was thinking. But nowadays, because I'm so much in the research thrust area, I feel like maybe I may consider a PhD, but like I'll think about it for the next 6 months and then like take my final. Yeah,
correct. And Anurag?
So I was always, interested to work with the pharma industry. I see myself in one of the leading companies. So again, as Noella said, when you come to NIPER, there are always going to be your mentors who will tell you, you should go and pursue PhD. So PhD as an option, I'll think about it after I get a proper lab experience in NIPER semester 3. So that is one thing. Otherwise, I'll get into NIPER placements. So let's see how, what the future holds for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's nice. Mitali?
Yes. So right now I'm not thinking about a PhD. Like in my from what I have seen, my seniors, they are getting good placements right out of, like from just a MS course also. So I don't think I will do a PhD now.
Okay. So now we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have these courses like pharmacovigilance mein, regulatory affairs mein, IPR mein. So will these courses be helpful later on, like after graduation or after post graduation, or will they help me fetch a job just after graduation? Anurag?
Well, there are always openings in PV or DRA for companies, right? So if you're going to get placed after your bachelor's, they are going to add value to your resume, to your CV. But if you're planning for NIPER GPAT, okay, then I think NIPER and GPAT should be your focus. You have the next 2 years to actually add on to your CV. NIPER is going to give you a number of opportunities for that. All these courses will add value to your CV or resume, but you have to prioritize on like what you want to do, when you want to do. So that is how I will answer that question.
Okay. Any other
I
points,
think
Mitali?
yes, but I think like spending a lot of money in these certificate courses, I don't think it's a good choice. Like instead of that, you can like learn skills, like learn Excel or learn something that will be helpful to you. But in building the CV is also important.
Yeah.
But then like, do it thoughtfully. Just don't spend a lot of money in one.
Correct.
Agreed. Like just don't blindly
Scholarship.
enroll for courses. See if you're interested in it and see like what options you would get like after you complete the course. See if it's really helpful. Otherwise, Coursera bhi hai, wo bhi tum kar sakte ho. Yeah, and as Anurag said, like there is a lot of opportunities even after you enter your masters or whatever. If you want to continue in academics, then I don't think it's necessary. Agar you want to enter into the job field, then that would give you an edge. Resume pe acha dikhta hai.
Exactly. That's what
Yeah.
everyone's running for, especially third years. And we'll be going for internships. So everyone's after these courses, paying for 2 courses at a time. And so I was curious to know whether or not I should apply for it. So let's see what happens. Now coming to recently, one of our professors talked about M.Pharm and going for M.Pharm and PhD and finding a guide for your masters, and of course if you go for PhD further. So what is it like? Like how do you find a guide, or what is the process like? Anurag?
Okay. So basically, in Mohali, you were not given a choice under which professor you want to be. There was a chit system, so we had to go and pick up a chit, and then we'll get the name of the guide we are under. Okay. So over here in NIPER, I'm under Dr. S.K. Guchet. He basically works for anti-cancer drugs. So there's going to be a lot of synthesis part involved in my master's project. Okay. So when if you get an option to choose a guide, okay. So what I feel is you need to know what the thrust area of that lab is, what is the research that they are conducting, and if you're interested in it. Okay. Like for example, Dr. P.V. Bharatam, he is our HOD, medicinal chemistry at Mohali. Now his lab is more towards computer-aided drug designing and I guess computational chemistry. Okay, he's a father of pharmacoinformatics, so a lot of bridging between pharmacoinformatics and medicinal chemistry in his labs. So if you get an option that if you want to go to synthesis, you would come, end up coming into maybe Guchet's lab. But if you like computational chemistry or if you want to build a career over there, then maybe if you have an option, you would go to PV Research Lab. That is how you should choose your lab. What you want to do, what is the thrust area of that lab? Those are the two things that should resonate.
Okay, so after you got your results, you started finding for these guides, or it's just you got into a college and then you get to know what is the process like at the institute?
Yeah, so honestly, when we got our results, we were so happy that we honestly did not see which guide and everything, right? Honestly, but once you go over there, there's always this decorum that research karna hai. Always, that is always going to be there. Okay, so things will fall in place. NIPER did not give us an option to choose our guides, but I feel research in NIPER is so good that whoever's lab you are under, you're going to do good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Any additions, or the same goes for?
So at NIPER Hyderabad, you do have an option of where which guide you want to choose. But again, it's based on your marks. So you're supposed to fill your preferences as to which guide you want, and then depending on your marks, you'll be allotted the guide of your choice.
Okay.
It's like that. And like over here also, it's the same thing. You look at your professor, the guides, research areas and stuff. You look at their labs, what sort of equipment they have, how are their PhDs, are they supportive, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But at the end of the day, all of them are professors at NIPER. So there is a standard that is maintained, and all of them are good. So it's not like that. It's basically on your research area, like what interests you more. So यहाँ पे cancer, there's some labs are just cancer based, but there are some labs working on novel drug delivery systems. Then there are other labs working on osteoporosis. So it depends on what you want to do.
Correct. And Mitali?
So same NIPER Mohali mein, there's a chip system. So we don't get to choose. So for my department, I am under P.V. Bharatam sir. So and the other options that we have our HOD, Dr. Prabha Garg. So if you're under her lab, most of the work will be related to machine learning and AI. Okay. And we have another professor. If you're under her, you will learn more about molecular docking. For my lab, Bharatam sir's lab, we have more of computational chemistry and CAD and quantum chemistry. and things like those. So, but then eventually, like with like over the 2 years, we will come across these subjects in our syllabus also. So, like irrespective of whoever's lab you are in, you are going to learn the same things at some point in the 2 semesters, in the 2 years. So I think like, there's no like pros and cons to kuch nahi hai, pros hi hai bas.
Correct, correct. So, Mitali, I have one question for you. Because you're doing pharmacoinformatics and I had the privilege of attending a workshop on CAD recently. So, after masters, what will you be doing with respect to the subject you are studying? Like, what will it be?
So most of my seniors are pursuing the position of analyst, either data analyst or business analyst.
Okay.
Yeah, for product development mein, so
Okay.
things like that. So I think that is more. And,
So,
but then there are some of my not seniors, like alumni of NIPER from my department, who are also working in a position of scientists in companies like Schrodinger. And so I think it's a very wide like field. मतलब like ऐसा कुछ नहीं कि एक या दो ही option है इसके बाद.
So we had a prejudice in our mind or something that सिर्फ software engineers या जिन्होंने engineering की है, they can go for data analytics because it has all these programming languages and softwares.
You know, a lot of consultancy companies and IT companies come into NIPER, and like why would they come if they want only engineers? Yeah. So I think like, but then फिर भी BTech people always have an edge over us because उन्होंने 4 साल बस वही किया है. But then our plus point is that we also know pharma, we have pharma knowledge plus programming skills.
Correct, correct. So now on a lighter note, how is it like at NIPER, like research going on? Because personally, I see our M.Pharm students at VNCP. You know, even while we have our vacations on, they're doing their experiments, coming to the labs. What are you experiencing? Anurag?
Okay, so basically at NIPER campus, first of all, NIPER Mohali campus is really beautiful, okay? So once you go there, it like really mesmerizes you. You enjoy the campus as if it's a resort, okay? I'll tell you the first thing. So it's a great thing, okay? When it comes to labs, we are not really very, very exposed to labs in the first and the second semester because that's more of the coursework thing, okay? But now, after our guide selection, we did go to our lab and we are training under our seniors. So it's fun, you get to handle a lot of things that we've always been learning. How to set a reaction, okay, magnetic stirrers, and you get intermediates late in the night. You have to go and isolate those intermediates. So these are fun things that you actually learn from your seniors. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. I mean, setting alarms at 3 in the night and going to the lab and just isolating a particular intermediate. But it's great. The greatest difference that I've seen in NIPER is that NIPER sticks to its research even in the education. Like that day we were learning a topic, Dr. Bhaltam was teaching us a topic, and in the end he says, okay, this was discovered in NIPER Mohali and we have a paper. So it is like, whoa, I mean, the guy who discovered the thing or, he proposed a particular thing, he's the one teaching us. So it really excites you. That is the best thing about NIPER, is what I feel.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Noella?
So one difference between NIPER Mohali and NIPER Hyderabad is that NIPER Hyderabad के hostels are away from the main campus. So like as Anurag said, they go in at 3 in the morning and everything. That does not happen here, thankfully, for now. But वो आ जाएगा soon because अभी नया campus बन रहा है and there's going to be hostels in the main campus. But by the time we'll have passed out. So we have set timings only mostly. But then in second year, you're more exposed to your labs and stuff. So then you will have to spend more time in lab. But as of now, it's pretty chill and everything. So yeah.
Mitali?
So yeah, NIPER Mohali, as Anurag said, the campus is beautiful. So like even like we go for night walks. Every day we go for walks at night. And then like every time I'm walking in this campus, I feel thankful that अच्छा हुआ पढ़ाई किया था GPAT के लिए, and I've reached here finally.
Wow.
And like it's so nice to meet people from like different corners of the country, and बहुत अच्छा लगता है.
Definitely.
I grew up in the same place बचपन से, so like वो जो monotony हो गया था वो break हो गया finally, and like so it is a great cultural shift. Like थोड़ा अच्छा लगता है, like you get to learn a lot more than academics यहाँ पे.
Living in a hostel gives you different life lessons. I'm sure. घर पे तो सब मिल जाता है. So how has it been like hostel life away from home?
Hostel life का भी अपना ही मजा है.
It depends on. हाँ, right. बहुत struggles भी है, but then it's fun also.
In Mohali, there are 3 sets of hostels, okay, for boys. Vyas hostel, Satluj hostel, and Chenab hostel. So Chenab is said to be the 5-star hostel because it is a new building. They have an amazing mess and everything is good. On the other end, Vyas and Satluj are a little older hostels. So, if you can brag about being in Chenab, I'm not in Chenab, I stay in Satluj, but you can brag about being in Chenab and everything. So these are all the things that you're going to enjoy. The best part is we have solo rooms. Guys don't have to share rooms with people. So yeah, that gives you a lot of freedom. And yeah, it's amazing. The only thing is you'll have to adjust a lot. This can happen, is what I feel. Over here we have like everything is very available to us, honestly. Shops like right below our buildings. So there are going to be things like you have to adjust to, but otherwise you're going to enjoy this life also.
Perks of being at Mohali, NIPER Mohali.
Plus, like a lot of tourist destinations are close to Mohali.
Oh,
So like you can go to Shimla like 4 hours ke distance mein hai. So
wow.
like that is one more plus point. So like whoever's preparing for GPAT, you can think about all this when you're tired or like less motivated. You can think like future life thoda aur fun hoga.
I know.
Yeah. And you
Encouragement
get
for
to
you.
experience the cold of Chandigarh. It's going to be 6
Oh,
degrees
yeah.
Celsius probably, and it's like, you know, you have to have a heater in the room. It's amazing. You've never
For Mumbaikars
experienced that cold.
especially.
Yeah.
We don't
Yes.
experience winters here.
From that aspect, I think I'm happy in Hyderabad because I hate winters. So Hyderabad's climate is very similar to
Best.
Mumbai.
Mumbai,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's nice here. And again, I feel like living in hostel teaches you so much. Like, you know, small things that you underestimate at home, like having a nice clean washroom. That itself, that is one thing. But like when you're living in hostel, you learn so many things like budgeting. You know, like you underestimate that sort of stuff at home. Over here, like one penny you count and you spend. So that is one good thing. Then, you know, freedom of living in a new city, exploring that city with your friends. That is something you can do.
Wow. Sounds like one more encouragement of getting into NIPER. Yeah.
Right.
We didn't talk about the main encouragement. If you get into NIPER, you get your own stipend. You earn.
Yes.
That is amazing. I mean, pocket money mil jati hai.
Yes.
Correct. So all GPAT qualified students are eligible for the stipend, right?
Yes.
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 Okay. And the same for all colleges, or does it vary?
It's the same for all colleges.
So any more tips on any generalized topics getting through graduation or going for exams? Anything else?
I would just suggest like for me, I would just suggest that like I did the mistake of being stressed all throughout my final year and third year. So I
Right.
would suggest ki like jo bhi karna hai, do it happily. Even if you don't want to go for a master's, if you want to go for a job, just be happy with whatever you're doing. Don't stress yourself because वो time वापस नहीं आएगा. Like just take bunk lectures also, go out with your friends also. Just do everything.
So yeah.
I say
BMCP
enjoy
का life
everything.
enjoy करो.
Enjoy the fest while you have it. Enjoy RX. Dhamal machao. Sab karo. And like have a good mind space. You know, when it comes to exams and everything, don't ever underestimate yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Believe in yourself. Trust me. Like when you go and sit in the exam hall now, like never have that thing that you have not, you know, finished the revision of this subject or anything. Like, you know, stuff that you've learned in your first year of B.Pharm, they also suddenly pop up in your brain when you see the question. Like I've experienced this firsthand and it was mind blowing because at that point I was like, how would I ever remember this? I had, you know, itne saalon se maine nahi dekha hai. But it came. So I feel like you outperform yourself. You know, when you reach those stressful situations, you push your limits yourself. Like वो खुद ब खुद हो जाता है. So you don't have to like stress about it. So enjoy what you're living right now.
Correct.
Enjoy your life in BMCP because BMCP's life is something you're not going to experience again. Okay, that is one thing, and we have a great culture, great life. So enjoy that. And apart from that, as both of them said, stay calm, stay composed, and don't think a lot about future. Stay in the present and think about cracking the exam first. Baki to sub will fall in place. That's it. And never compare ranks. You know, I had done that mistake. I used to go on LinkedIn and check, oh my God, last year, what rank, what subject closed. You know, I did that mistake because it stresses a lot. You know, stresses out you a lot. Don't do that. Otherwise, everything is going to happen, fall in place.
So I guess ranks are important for getting into NIPERs, right? So is there a criteria for different NIPERs according to ranks, or it's with regard to the subject you want to study?
It's regards with how people, you know, fill. I mean, what are people's preferences? If people in front of you give their preferences as different subjects, you're going to get your preference. So it always changes. The dynamics always change. Is what I feel.
Okay. So we end here. Thank you so much for being there. And we'll definitely get back to you for some tips or for another podcast someday. And I wish you the best for your careers and hope to see you at college someday.